have absolutely zero scientific evidence to back this up. One of the things that I learned many, many years ago was rear delts are extremely overlooked, but they're very important. You know, I would see all these guys, in the bodybuilding world, I would see all these guys with what we would call slope shoulders. So that meant standing to the side, they had this kind of big front delt, but then it sloped off to the back. They didn't have that kind of cannonball rear delt. And, you know, I was doing all the classic, you know, sets of 8, sets of 10 on my rear delts, and they just really suffered. They just didn't look very good. And eventually I had a guy who taught me that, you know, well, he wanted me to do higher reps. He had me do sets of 30 and above. So I started incorporating high rep sets for my rear delts. Bam, I'm talking like within a couple months, they look totally different. And my rear delts in my peak competitive days actually turned out to be one of my best body parts, but it was from the high reps. Now, it's tough because for rear delts, they'll start burning like calves, and then people just stop. So, you know, it'll start burning at 10 or 15 reps, and somehow you got to get to 30 or even 25. But what I would say is whether you're doing a dumbbell bent over fly, a reverse pec deck, or if you're doing rows for your rear delts like everybody's doing nowadays, do high reps, and you'll see what I mean. 3 sets of 30, 3 sets of 25, twice a week, I think will take you really far for your rear delts. And when you start getting those big rear delts, your shoulders just have a different look to them. You got that dense, powerful, thick look to them. But I really, number one, I think, man, high reps on rear delts would be the first thing I would put on somebody to give their shoulders a different look. Now, the second thing I would say is, now you gotta be ready, because people are gonna laugh at you when you do this, but I also really like heavy partial laterals for shoulders. So if you think about a dumbbell side lateral, whatever weight you use, what I would do is I wouldn't quite double it, but I would go up significantly. So if you do maybe 30s for your normally on your side laterals, maybe you want to go 45s on the partials. But the way you do the partial is key. So I've got some light dumbbells here just so I can show you the form. So what I'm looking for in a partial is, first of all, you're not going up all the way. I don't want your arms to be locked. I don't want you to hurt your elbows. So a little bit of bend, and you're just coming up about 6 inches right here. Now, it looks easy like this, but imagine if you're using 15, 20 pounds more than you normally use. And that's only the first part of it. The second part of it is you've got to do high reps again. So you're going to use high reps for a partial. And again, that burn is going to be insane. So you're just going to start burning at 10, 12 reps, and you just got to keep going. Sometimes I just drop my head back and just fight through the pain. So these little partials right here, done with a heavy weight, I feel are very productive. You know, people say, well, it's not a full range of motion, your shoulders won't grow. You're also putting your shoulders in a position that they're not used to. So they're not used to that heavy weight coming out of the bottom, right? But your shoulders are actually a little stronger coming out of the bottom as opposed to when you get up here. So it's allowing you to use a heavier weight through the range of motion where you're strong. Now, I wouldn't just do partials. I would still do full range of motion side laterals as well, but if you add the heavy partials to your plan, and I get messages every day on how these are changing people's shoulders. Every single day I get messages, oh, I love these, my shoulders look so different. So just give these a try before you laugh at them. And again, when you're at the gym doing these, people are going to laugh at you, but don't worry about it. You're going to get very good results from these. 3 sets of like 25 twice a week, and you'll be good to go. So give that a shot. That makes a big difference, and it's very simple. Okay, the third tip is more about joint health and flexibility. I feel like shoulders, that's a muscle group or a joint, the shoulder joint itself, gets injured very easily. So anything you can do to keep your shoulders healthy is going to be very productive to have shoulders. Like a lot of guys I know, they had big shoulders at one time, but then they got injured, they had surgeries. So they really struggle with shoulders now. So we want to get ahead of the curve. We want your shoulders to be healthy. And one of the things that really, I believe, has benefited myself and some people I work with is just keeping your shoulders flexible. So I do over and backs. What I do is I grab a band like this, and I simply go over and back. So just like this. All the way over, all the way back. Now the band is cool because you can make it harder. Like if I move my grip out, it gets easier. But if I move my grip in, now it's harder. And the band moves, so you can kind of work with your range of motion. But if you just work to get a little bit more flexible, more and more flexible, your shoulder tissue moves better, your external rotators are better. So this, if you would incorporate these, I like to do 10 reps over and back, so over and back is 1 rep. And when I like to really put it in is when my shoulders are really pumped and stiff. So let's say you're doing some of these high reps I've been talking about in exercise number 1 and 2. Stick in a couple sets between, well, stick in a set in between a couple sets of those, of these, and your back will actually be, or your shoulders will actually burn even worse. So just like this, keeps your shoulders flexible, makes a big difference. Anytime I have my shoulders are start to get a little beat up, I do these and I actually do spider crawls. You guys have seen me do the spider crawls before, but again, simple, easy, something you can incorporate into your workout right now. I would say 3 or 4 sets of these during your shoulder workout would be excellent. So over and backs would be tip number 3.